Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today, we're going to be talking about keeping our priorities straight. But before we do that, we're going to review what we've already gone over because it does take some time for certain thought patterns to become a way of life. The first one was you can glance at the past, but don't stare. In short, when you start to think about something that affected you negatively from the past, it's over, it's done. All you have is from this moment forward, and that's all you really need. So try to let that go and not dwell on the past. The second is do not depend on anyone to make you happy. In other words, don't wait for somebody to do or say something in order for that to make you happy. Because we can't control what anybody else is going to say or do, and that would only cause frustration. You need to be happy within yourself and let go and be pleasantly surprised when somebody does something that does make you happy. And the third is, it's not my business what other people do. In other words, when you think about how somebody handles something or acts a certain way about something, that's a form of passing judgment. And it's really not our business because everybody makes their decisions based on their upbringing, their experiences in this life, and who's to say that ours are any better? Again, it's a way to try to control someone. Again, it brings frustration, and frustration brings depression. And I believe to be really healthy and happy, you need to do everything you can to combat frustration and depression. But with that being said, we're going to go on to keep your priorities straight. And I think I made reference to a book in my first episode. It was called Mary's Message to the World. And in that book, she has a small portion that outlines the way we should live. And I did read it some years ago, and it made sense at the time. It kind of resonated with my spirit, but I didn't apply it. And I reread the book recently, and it seemed to make a lot more sense currently. And the way she said the priorities should be are God, yourself, your family, and then everyone else. I would like to dissect each one of those things. God, for example, I've always personally believed in God. I don't know what I would have done without him. I mean, it seems like everything would be pointless without him. And it's certainly good to know that there's something bigger than our doctors, bigger than ourselves. It always gives us hope no matter what is said to us, no matter what they suspect our outcome is going to be. It doesn't matter if you have hope, if you have faith. People have said to me that I have a good attitude. I personally don't see it. However, if I do, it's because of my faith, because I always have hope. And don't get me wrong, I'm so grateful for doctors. We need our doctors. We need our surgeons. We need our medicine. But the best medicine a doctor ever gave me was his words. He said to me, I won't give up on you. That meant more to me than anything any doctor has ever said to me. In fact, I wanted to cry because, we live in a very busy world with a lot of people. And I realize we are not their only patient. But I would like to know that if what they're trying doesn't work, that isn't the end of the road, that they will continue to try to make us better. However, I did learn to be careful what you pray for. And one time I had prayed, I was going on auditions quite often, and so I would get nervous before an audition. So in doing so, I wanted to get rid of that nervous feeling, so I prayed that I wouldn't have an ego. And then this happened to me, where my health declined and et cetera, et cetera. So I realized, boy, if this didn't clinch getting rid of an ego, nothing would. But I did learn, be very careful what you pray for. The other thing was I learned not to try to manipulate God. And I prayed, God, either heal me or take me. And I think subconsciously, I was hoping he would have opted for the first. And consequently, I ended up in the hospital with could have been a fatal blood infection. And I learned right then and there, be careful what you pray for and don't manipulate God. With that being said, I am very happy that there is always hope, regardless of what kind of negative opinions anybody gives you. There is always hope with God. And I am so grateful for that. The other being putting yourself second is I used to feel like it was selfish to put myself before anyone else. And then I realized it's not selfish. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's selfish not to. Because if you give away everything that you have, just picture a cup flowing over. You can give away the overflow, but if you give away everything that's inside the cup, pretty soon the cup is empty and you have nothing else to give. So it's important that you take care of yourself, put yourself first, so you can take care of others. Those others being family and friends. The third priority is your family. You should always keep them first, and you feel right within your soul that you're doing the right thing. And family isn't always necessarily blood relatives. If you care deeply about somebody, they're considered family as well. With that being said, I am shocked how much of what my mother has said to me has rubbed off on me. As I sit here and talk to you about these different things, I hear my mother coming out. It's really surprising because I honestly didn't think I was really listening to her. And that tells me that what we say to our children, for example, can make or break who they become, can make or break their future. We hold power within ourselves to make others feel good about themselves, become a success. Because what is repeatedly said to someone is what or who they become. And with that being said, we'll go on to everyone else. Even our friends, even the barista at Starbucks, for example. We may only have a few minutes with them, but what we say can make or break their day. And if we find the good in people and just be a little bit kinder to each other, I think everybody would be a little bit happier. And what a wonderful world it would be to live in where everyone was just a little bit happier. So again, our priorities would be God, ourselves, our family, and then everyone else. So when you're laying in bed worried about something, bring that to your mind: God, myself, my family, and then everyone else. You know, when I started this podcast, I was going to share experiences that I've had after getting my diagnosis. That was my intent. But it's taken a twist and a turn, and I'm just going with it. And we're talking more about body, mind, and spirit. And I think it's important for those three things to be healthy, for the entire body to be healthy. If just one of those three is out of sync, I think it affects us. So again, God being spirit, yourself being your body and mind, your family being the love. One of the last things I would like to talk about is food, and I really have trouble with this myself. Unfortunately, I guess what you would call a sugarholic. Although it's not illegal to eat a bar of candy and drive, it's still an addiction is an addiction. And I have more and more compassion and sympathy for people who have addictions and more respect for those that have broken addictions. However, I think food is actually the best medicine we can have. At one time, I hired a nutritionalist, and she had me eating a certain way. I believe I did it for 6 months. And a sore that has been in my mouth for years went away. It was amazing. One other time, I ate a certain way, eliminating sugar, etc., for 2 weeks, and my body moved better. My thinking was more clear. So I know that food has a big, profound effect on body, mind, and spirit. One time, a girlfriend of mine asked me out for Mexican food, and I was feeling pretty good at the time. So as we're sitting there, I'm having my chips and my soda, and all of a sudden, I felt my mood start to plummet. And I went into kind of a negative mode. And I didn't realize it then, but looking back on it, really, as delicious as everything is, it's still toxic food, let's face it. Another time, I went on an audition, and I got a call back, and I was on cloud 9. I just felt so excited. If you know anything about this business, you'll know a callback is one step closer to getting the job. So I was driving home feeling really good. I got hungry, so I pulled over to a fast food restaurant, and I had fries, a cheeseburger, and a Coke. All of a sudden, again, my mood plummeted. My optimism about the job, I got into kind of a negative mode, and I couldn't shake it. It was really weird. But again, it tells me how important eating right is. With that being said, though, it is still definitely something that I'm working on. But it is one more step closer to being healthy. And when you eat correctly, it gives you a clear mind. And I went to a store and I saw a greeting card, and it said, "Quiet the mind and you can hear the spirit." And I think we all have an innate spirit within us. It really tells us what to do, really tells the truth. But our minds are usually so busy that we don't hear it. And I think if you eat correctly, then your mind is quiet. Your body does move better. And then you can hear your spirit. So with all that, let's review what we talked about. And that is the priority is God, yourself, your family, and then everyone else. The other thoughts that I want you to keep in your mind are, it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare. Remember, let the past go. It's done. It's gone. The other is, do not depend on anyone else to make you happy. Remember, we can't control what anyone else says or does, and trying to do so only causes frustration. And frustration causes depression. I believe to be healthy, you need to not wallow in frustration and depression and do everything you can do to eliminate it. The third is, it's not my business what other people do. Again, I'm going to remind you that everybody makes their decisions based on their life experiences, and we make ours based on our life experiences. So who's to say that our way is any better? Wanting somebody to make decisions based on what you think is right is a form of judgment. Judgment is also something we need to eliminate. That also causes frustration, causing depression. With all that being said, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.